Hi, everybody, and welcome to Growing Up Chestnut. Yes, we're growing up. We're all
We're still not grown
up.
No,
So
we
anyway,
really aren't.
we're not.
No.
Oh, so I'm telling you, I was telling Becky earlier. I like it better when we are together and doing it because I think we can.
Yeah.
It's to me it's funner. But I really enjoyed last week's episode the best. I think because I love Greg's stories.
Well, I talked to Greg.
Hi, Greg.
And I tried.
Does Greg watch this?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Good, then I can continue.
But I told him, told him we want to get him on here, and he's like, Greg. But I told him just if not, just defend himself with you, and so I told him about the hair thing and the he's like, oh, Greg.
The video.
Yeah, and I said, and I told him, I said, yeah, we were talking. I said that I told him that I said the worst part that he hated was that Mom went under his bed, and he starts going off. Greg goes, I know, she went under my bed, and I said, well, there's plenty in the family room, the VHS tapes, and so. But anyway, so hopefully we'll get him on here. I told him he needs to defend
Listen,
himself.
I have so many Greg stories though. I'm sorry. We need to have a contest one day. I think me and Greg need to have a contest on stories. Oh yeah, Jamie reminded me of this. So Greg, he came. This is so funny.
This is a funny story.
So Greg came to. I was in Indiana, and Greg came to pick up a washer and dryer.
Like that.
Yeah, or bring us one or something. And so Greg had gone to Walmart, gone everywhere that day, drove all the way from Illinois to us, been in and out of places everywhere. And so we go into the garage to get it, and Greg turns around. And when he turns around, he's got like the world's largest wedgie or something going on. I'm like, what's going on? Because the underwear, but the way it looked, he had underwear hanging outside of his pants.
And it was folded.
Yes. And it took me a minute to realize. So when Greg put his pants on that day, apparently a pair of underwear folded over his pants and were hanging. So he had gone through Walmart. He'd gone through truck stops with a pair of tidy whities hanging out the back. And I'm like, Greg, what's on the back? He goes, what do you mean? And I go, I pull them out and show them. And Greg's like, oh my gosh, I've been everywhere today. And he's
you know what, Mike? I wonder if somebody in Walmart thought he was shoplifting a pair of underwear.
I know, they were probably, look at that poor guy.
But do you remember what we did? I don't know if you guys were there, but it was Christmas time.
Yes,
so
we did.
At Christmas time, we went over to Greg and Tammy's house, and she went and got everybody a pair of his underwear, and we all stuck it in her
back. And it took Greg, 30 minutes before he realized we all had underwear hanging out. I mean, we were putting our butt in his face and everything, It was like, look at my fanny.
Even Mom and Dad were in on that one.
That was funny. One of my favorite things, though, is you see guys down here is all the places that we're on. So if you're traveling, you can actually go on Spotify, iTunes, things like that, and listen to our episodes. If you get bored and you want to have something to laugh about,
I want to give a shout out to Jan Cunningham and Misty Taylor, because those are two of
our fans that
are
on there. And what I love is
two fans.
Our two fans.
Yeah, our two fans. What I love is, Jan was one of our babysitters
basically
growing up. So Jan knows a lot of the stories that she.
Yeah,
I love it because I'll see her go, oh my God, I remember that.
Yes.
And everything.
I love feedback.
And their family was a big part of us. Jill, I had a crush on her sister Jill. Jill was my babysitter, my person. I sat with Jill in church. Her mom drew the best Porky Pig, and every service I would go to June Cunningham and ask her, "Would you please do me a Porky Pig?" And she would make, and I had a ton of them till I was grown up in my drawer of all these Porky Pigs that she drew on bulletins and stuff for me. Oh yeah, it was great. And you know, and their mom was the first person I knew who had passed away.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
And I believe I sang at her funeral. They wanted me to, if I remember correctly. And that was one of the toughest times of my life. And the Latham's grandchild, when that child passed away, I had to sing, and that was hard. But those are two great families that were in our life. So now we were talking about today's is Preacher Blunders Part 2, because there's just so much. And what I love the feedback. So Chuck Taylor, he's Lyman Taylor or Butch Taylor's son. Now we need, Taylor kids, listen, Missy, Chuck, listen, we need to know. Jason, Lyman or Butch, okay? Is it like he's schizophrenic? Is Lyman for when he's the funny guy, or the bad guy, and Butch is the funny guy? Like, is it like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde?
I didn't know his name was Lyman for a long time. I was always Butch, and then when we got older, they were calling Lyman. I'm like.
Well, and I've never heard of. I was like, I thought that was Lyman. Like he was named after a lemonade. What? Like, what's that story? So I really want you guys. We need
clarification.
Okay. But Chuck Taylor, I did appreciate this because they did know our family. He said your parents were awesome. They truly had the gift of hospitality and had impacted so many people. And our parents were. Our parents were really.
Our parents loved people.
And especially when evangelists and missionaries came in, I felt like our parents.
Oh, they loved.
They loved on them. They wanted them to feel at ease.
Right.
You know, because a lot of times, evangelists, families, and stuff, they go to church and it's about not performing, but the expectation sometimes is unrealistic. Maybe,
but be family and be taken care of, and
But he gave me a story, which I'm glad. If you guys that know stories, put them in there. We want to share them. So Chuck said, I remember a preacher preaching about sex, SECTS.
Oh, what?
Sex, okay, but it sounds like SEX.
Yes.
Okay, he said he preached about sex in the church. Quote. There's nothing wrong with sex in the church as long as everybody is a part of it. And Chuck said, say it out loud, and you know why? We quickly went into invitation time right afterwards. So I'm like, oh my goodness, it's funny. I said, so I asked Chuck, I said, so what was he trying to say? What was he preaching about? And I don't even know how this comes together. This is a real bad speech impediment, okay? He was preaching against cliques in the congregation.
Where did you get this SECTS?
I don't know, but that
I'm sorry. I know the Taylor kids. I know my kids would. We would have lost it.
Oh, I know.
I would have been.
Listen.
Well, we shake a pew.
Well, I forget what's Butch Taylor's wife's name. Kathy. I know she was laughing. If the kids weren't, she was. I know that.
I know.
So
I can't imagine that. I would be overwhelmed. That would be overwhelming.
But it's funny because
that would be an overwhelming. That would be like this cell pucker thing.
Oh yeah.
That would be.
Well, listen. One of my first experience. So I was going to Albania and I had health problems that happened. I couldn't go, and it was a really tough time in my life because I was like, where am I going to go? And out of the blue, this church in Avon, Indiana, called me. And they said, we want you to come do our music program and youth group. And it was Harmony, okay? And Brother Ed Phillips was the pastor. And Ed was a great pastor, okay? But he was quirky.
It was very quirky.
And one of the first sermons he preached was And to be honest, I was flabbergasted because this is like maybe the second sermon I sat under him working there, and he was preaching on sex in heaven. He believes, so he used some kind of scripture, and his philosophy, he believed he'd be found somewhere, but he truly believed that we will have sex and there will be marital sex in heaven. And in the back, I'm sitting in the back.
No, I couldn't have done that.
And I swear it was Shirley Hawkins. Yes, I called you out, Shirley. I think it was Shirley Hawkins. All of a sudden, you hear this lady go, "Well, then it's going to be hell for me."
Oh, it was Shirley Hawkins.
And I'm like, where am I? What's going on?
No, I would have had to get up and leave. I would have been cracking. I would have been
Becky,
dying.
it was.
You know me. I can't hold stuff.
I didn't, because you know me. I just cracked up, but everybody was laughing. But I don't know if I told this story, so I did something too. So John Lilly was the pastor now at this time, and a bunch of us had gone up to dinner the night before, and there was this brand new family in the church who'd been coming for a while, and actually I knew me and my wife, we knew them previously, but didn't know that until later. And so we had all gone out the night before. Okay, well, it was the week before Christmas, and the kids were all doing a special song that day. Well, originally we said, let's have them all dress up in Christmas outfits, but then it just got too much, and we were like, we canceled that part of it, but we forgot to tell that family. So
no.
I feel bad because they're brand new families in the church. Okay,
Oh, Michael.
and their daughter comes up there there's like 12 kids up there, and there's her daughter, only one wearing an angel outfit. Okay, so she's wearing this angel outfit. So, as chestnuts, we kind of get nervous when we talk and stuff. And I'm like, I feel like I have to make up for what's going on, right?
You gotta explain it.
So I get up there, I go, listen, they weren't supposed to do that, and we didn't get the communication out. And I said, and listen, I was out with her parents last night, and let me tell you, they're no angel, like that. And John's like, and she was like, what? And I was like, her mom's no angel. Oh, it was 10 times worse. And John Lilly is on the front row. And what people don't know, John Lilly laughs like that.
Yes.
So when John gets tickled, he starts shaking, and he's like, and I'm like, well, you can have it now. I don't know where to go with this. And I just walk off stage, and John's like, no, you're doing another song. Do another song. He's like, I can't go up there and preach like that. So anyways, so that was.
Do you remember what? I know it's off track because it reminded me, because I was there for this one that you preached at Valley. It was when Lawrence Thomas, I think, we were all doing that Bible school, remember?
Yes.
And you got up and preached.
I think we shared that, didn't we?
The rubber everything?
Maybe not.
I don't remember doing
So what happened? Yeah, I think we did, but
let's say that if we did, but.
Well, now we got people hanging. So I preached a message, and it was literally the second message I had ever preached. Okay,
and
the
first,
first
kind of like you're singing, you couldn't stop.
Yeah, well, my first sermon, I got that. I prepared hours, and it was done in 6 minutes. My 6 minutes.
I hear you.
I was done. So this time, I'm doing it, and I'm preaching on Jonah and the well, and I was talking about how Jonah didn't want to go to Nineveh. And I was like, I can understand. I go, that would, for me, what would cause me to rebel against God's calling if he was sending me somewhere? And I said, that'd be San Francisco. I said, I wouldn't go there if I had a rubber everything on. And then all of a sudden, it was like Lampoon's Church. Okay. And a holy hush went, you could hear people go, oh, like this, and everybody looks over at Dad, and all of a sudden Dad goes like this, and I'm not joking you. Lawrence Thomas, I could see his feet hanging in. He was laying down. Yes. His feet are up, and also you could always I think Ron Cunningham always loved when I preach. Ron is so quiet, And if you can get Ron to laugh, you did you did something. And Ron was just out there chuckling so hard.
I remember when it's Thomas, just to me, I mean, I was like flabbergasted too what you said, but I was like, he made the whole thing.
Oh yeah, well, and I couldn't. How do you recover from it? And then my mouth got cotton. And the glass got stuck. I couldn't get water, so I dipped my hand in the water glass and threw it on my tongue, and I was just like, "Dad, I think I'm done."
A long time ago,
And I walked off of there.
That when you were talking about that one, it reminded me of that. So I don't think we talked about that one, but
yes. So, okay, so why we're doing this, Wes is producing this for us, and I don't know if Wes wants to come on now or not with us. But Wes, you knew some stories that your mom forgot
when I was talking about
to discuss when we were
Yeah. So most of them come from Manio, when we went to Manio, North Carolina, for some jubilees there. And I remember there was this one preacher, and I can't remember his name. Probably best that I don't. But he got up there. They asked him to pray. I think it was close, like just before to open up the service and whatnot, and and he's up there. He's praying. He's like, dear God, give us. Oh, what did he say? He said, give us holy fire in our britches and holy ants in our pants. And I remember Dad telling the story. Dad said that John Goodman happened to lean over to him and goes, God, I don't want that. God, don't give that to me. Give that to him if he wants it, but don't give it to me. Right? So, oh yeah. Yeah. So we
were all like, because that was when because the men would come up forward and they would start praying.
Yeah.
They always had a few louder. But I remember all the women were all like, I mean, that just did it I remember that. That was hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when he said it, thinking in the back of my mind, like, well, that's odd to ask. That's a weird thing to ask God for. What? And then I'm trying to think. Like, I'm a kid, so I'm thinking, what do holy ants in my pants look like? Right? How does that translate? And yeah, just the things that go through your mind when you're what I was probably 9 or 10.
Light a fire under us.
Well, that's funny because it's funny that you say because as kids too, we're so literal. Yes. I remember when I was little. Remember, I got mad. It was one of our first mission conference. We lived in Boulder Hill still, and I was furious as a little kid. And Mom and Dad were like, "What? What?" I called the missionaries liars. And
oh yes.
And they were like, what? I was 5, maybe 6.
Yeah, you're 5.
And Mom goes, Mom and Dad, Mike, because I was really upset. They go, why are you upset? I said, every night they say they're going to bring a slide
presentation.
Stupid movies they keep showing us of poor people. Mom and Dad.
Oh. Oh, that's great.
I would have bought a slide for the next day for all the kids out at church.
Well, if Mom and Dad had the money, they probably would have.
Yes.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I remember that.
But we're so little.
I know. Dad would tell that for years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So one of the others, again, it happened at Manio, and it was so Mom had talked about John Rollins last week, and so I love John Rollins stories, right? But they're even because he was just so didn't care what you thought at all, none. Didn't care about your opinion. He was just who he was, and
who he was.
Yeah. And so he got up to preach at Manio at the camp meeting there. And so he was getting up, and then Dad was coming up after him, was scheduled to preach after him. And so he got up, and he was in the middle of his message. And I remember he was rolling something around through the whole thing. He's rolling something around in his mouth. And then he took a step back from the pulpit, looked down, and just spit onto the floor.
Like a
I don't know what it was, but it was loud enough. Everybody knew what he was doing. Everybody knew exactly what he did, right? And then he comes back to the pulpit and continues preaching like nothing happened, right? Just carries on, picks up right where he left off.
He probably lost everybody too by then.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, Wes,
Well, that's funny.
that kind of reminds me of a story of you, though.
Well, he's not done.
Oh, he's not?
Oh, no, because Dad, you got to remember, my dad was up next after him,
Oh, my God.
right? Dad gets up, goes to the pulpit, and then Dad, being the theatrical actor that he is, throws up his feet, right? Like he's slipping on what John Rollins had spit onto the floor.
That's hilarious.
Oh, my God. I can see Chris doing that. That's
Oh yeah. So yeah.
Well, I remember you as a kid. It was it a Christmas thing?
Oh yeah.
And all of a sudden, Wes, they're up on front.
He's
Now
in
the
a,
one
he's
thing,
in a cute suit. Oh, he looked like a little man.
and what you
Yeah, it was like the Christmas presentation at Valley, right?
Yeah. And all
Yeah.
of a sudden, he sneezed or something. The biggest snot wad you ever saw.
Bouncing.
And Wes,
And no, but the cruise kids and the other kids are all standing by him, and they're and
Yeah.
Wes has it. You had your hands in your pocket the whole time. You just leaned over, and everybody starts all these little kids.
everybody's just watching that
Yeah.
snot. Like,
I go, no, you go up there, and we're arguing, and then Denham Reynolds gets up.
Yeah.
Goes and wipes his nose. And Wes didn't quit singing. They just kept singing.
Hey,
Singing music. Right.
the show has
show must go on. Show must go on. So yeah. That's the thing. Like growing up with Dad and growing up in that, traveling and whatnot. And I don't think we were traveling then. Dad was still associate pastor over at Valley, but you didn't stop. You kept going, So yeah.
Pretend like nothing happened. Boy,
Oh yeah.
Well,
Which I can't do that now. Yeah. Which I can't. It's funny because I can't do that now. At all. I like now if something. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I keep interrupting.
we were trained really well though to to just go with the flow. I mean, and our parents were good at that.
Well, sometimes you were hoping nobody noticed.
And sometimes they didn't.
I know.
Sometimes they didn't.
Bad thing.
Yeah.
Some people were.
Yeah. It was just. Yeah. Yeah. What are you laughing? What were you laughing about up there? You literally didn't see what happened. It's Some people are just so oblivious to it, but yeah.
And we'll just let them be because that made it funny. Tammy, Greg's wife, was the best one at that. She was always oblivious to some of the stuff, and then she would ask right at the wrong time, and we would do just what Wes did, just go. Tammy was.
So I love Tammy, but there's a lot of moments with Tammy where you're just like,
yeah.
Well, she grew up in evangelism too, and she had some.
Yeah.
Too,
Oh.
She's got some awesome. Maybe we can get her on here too.
I
She's got
know.
some stories herself.
Yeah. Get some Kaplinger stories up there.
Yes, but
Craft slingers.
Yeah, I remember one time we were at a church, and I don't even think we knew the pastor. It was one of those that we got booked, and I should say booked, but anyway, got asked to go to, and they had chairs like Harmony, just the regular chairs, and they had like pews and then lined up. And I don't know if you remember this, but I don't even know how old you all were, and I think you were like 12, close to being teenagers. I think Jamie was a teenager, and so it filled up, and I would say they ran about 300. But there was a little old lady that sat next. I don't know if she was right next to you guys or right, but she was in the same pew as us. And so we're sitting there, and I don't even remember if it was preaching going on or what was going on at that time, but we hear somebody pass gas. And I'm like, them little brats. I'm like, good gracious, like, and then they're I can see their shoulders from like, I'm like, so I'm looking like, that's enough. Stop. And then I turn around and I'm like, hear it again. Like, there they go. And each time it got worse.
Yeah. And Mom's thinking the whole time it's one of us.
I'm like, so finally,
Yeah.
I'm like, And I'm looking, you know, my eyes, I'm like, and I'm about ready to choke, you know, and my eyes get big. And finally, the man behind me, the couple behind me, he felt sorry for the kids, and he finally just said, he tapped me on the shoulder, and he said, "Ma'am, that's not your kids. It's the little old lady." Tell them.
Yeah, right.
Then what happened was I lost it.
Yeah.
I lost
Yeah.
it. I mean, I
Well-
could not. And then that made them. They went off. I mean, we all went and all laughed. I mean, it was like, yes.
Oh my God.
Well, that's like at Grandpa Carey's church, First Baptist out of Boyne City. They had Miss Flucky was there, right? So the lady whose name mom wasn't allowed to pronounce, right?
Right.
Well, Miss Flucky was well advanced in years when we first met her, right?
900, but she was like 90 something.
Yeah. So you've heard Larry the Cable Guy's, piece on his grandma having the walking farts, right? That's Miss Flucky. All right, just about every other step.
And she'd hug you. She'd walk like this, like
Oh yeah.
Tim Conway on the old man, and she'd walk like Buddhist lady, and then she'd hug you, and as you're patting, she's going, she's just
Every time, and just about every single time that there was an impact on her body, whether she was walking or you were patting her back, she was passing gas.
Well, I was in a small group once, which, at that point, I hadn't been in, the Baptist churches didn't really have small groups. It was a non-denominational church I started going to. I know. Non-denominational.
No, it's non.
Heathen.
Non-denom.
But anyways, one of the men there who sat in the middle, he would fart. Or pass gas, sorry.
Maybe you need hearing aids.
And he would just keep going on but everybody else did too. And nobody would say anything. And then I'm sitting there going, and finally he does another one and it stinks. And at this point, so he's sitting in a chair there, I'm sitting here, we're in a circle and so I'm in the front of it. Finally, I just lost it. I said, am I the only one that hears this? And the lady sitting next to me goes, honey, I've been waiting to find out if anybody else is hearing this too. Because she's like, it's killing me.
So he's thinking, nobody's hearing this. Nobody's
And,
this.
and of course, I'm working on a filter now. I'm starting to get a filter, but
I don't. That day will come. I will be so happy.
listen,
I don't think that day will come.
the fact that I have
Mom
not
and Dad
explained
not with you.
Paducah to people,
Okay.
my filter's doing pretty good.
Yeah, it is. Let's just go on. Look on what?
I've given up on my filter, so I just stopped trying.
I think I could still with you.
You gotta catch it.
Yeah, well, it ain't that hard.
He'll put a
It
great.
ain't that hard. I have my cane walking days. It's not that hard to catch up to me.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh,
They're all rich and getting ready. They're not in their 40s yet, but they're moving there.
but
Yeah, well, I got those paratrooper knees. So
Well, listen, if you guys out there, you've got some other stories on preacher blunders and stuff, just like Chuck had or whatever,
I love it. Yeah.
please share that. We also are talking to someone right now who has actually agreed will do an episode with us that you all will. I want to keep it a secret right now,
Yeah, I'm excited about them.
but that's going to be a fun one that you all aren't going to want to miss. And so we're hoping to do that shortly with it. I also got a message from Missy Taylor today. Now listen, this is the second time she has said this. So she said last week was good. I still think you need to do a show about IBS.
No.
And that was from Missy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Missy, I thought
And
you
she's
liked
our
me.
biggest fan.
I thought you liked me.
And I think we need to give Missy what she wants.
No. What happened?
A crap load of laughs.
I don't like
So,
that.
anyways, I don't know if I said this before. If I didn't, we're gonna say it again. If you look down here, this is where we subscribe, where you can find us at if you want to listen to us while you're driving. But one of the things we'd ask you to do is go to our Facebook page, join that, like that, share this video, if you would please. Go to to YouTube. This is really big. Go to YouTube and subscribe, because it's my desire next year. Me and Becky we're going to be making a living off of this,
We're retired.
telling stories. And I really think if we did the IBS story, we would probably hit our quota. I really do think. And I don't know what she's worried about. I got more stories about me than she does.
I have dignity, you don't.
Oh
Yeah,
no!
you know that.
When we tell the story, you have no dignity.
If I ever allow it, I can't be present. You're gonna have to have Bill tell it, because Bill doesn't really.
Oh gosh! Hey, we're human, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, we want you guys to subscribe to that. And we got some more stories. Let us know if you're enjoying it too. We've got 15 subscribers on Facebook, so that covered Missy and the rest of our family, I think. So
And
now
I want to get Uncle Ben to tell a story. I want Uncle Johnny.
I
They've
know.
got some stories.
Those would be good. Those would be good stories. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are
I'll
any
get over
other
all of them.
chestnuts listening? If you are,
Yes.
say something to us. You listening to? Although I know some are, because they've asked, "Hey, are you guys?"
But leave my name out of it.
No, they've asked-
That might be. See what
Don't let us tell your secrets, aunts and uncles, and you're gonna get on trouble. So
we got the reader
we
side.
got the reader side. Yes.
Mom's side is so hilarious, and Sharon. So I'm gonna try to reach out to Sharon this week too, and try and
She
get
has
her
good ones on
on.
mom and dad, especially in the early years.
Oh yeah, because she knew mom and dad before they were
But she was
in ministry, and
yeah, she was a baby. I mean, not baby, but she's like, I don't know how.
and she has great stories
Yes.
about
She didn't like dad.
Papa Reader and stuff like that. They're
Mhm.
great about them and all that. So, but anyways, guys, we're if you're not enjoying us, we are, and I guess
Yeah,
that's all
yeah,
that really
yeah.
matters, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, Greg, if you're watching, I didn't really say nothing this time, but I do have a couple stories for the next one. And to the rest of you guys, leave a comment, tell us what you think. But until next week, hey, we look forward to talking to you again. Bye, everyone.
Bye.